Today's intentional conversation is with Andrea Smith. She is the owner of Roots Hair Salon here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. In the business for 37 years, Andrea has dedicated her energy and effort into her employees, being intentional about building a healthy culture. All right, Andrea, we're just going to jump right into it, okay?
Let's do it.
No holes barred kind of a thing. All right. So tell me something. I want to know, like, what you've learned about yourself from your career.
Well, I've learned a lot, actually. But I think the main thing is that I'm a whole lot more tenacious than I ever gave myself credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And I am wildly purpose-driven. So when I know there's purpose to why I do what I do, that's what helps me hold on, no matter how bumpy the ride.
So tell me more about that purpose.
What is my purpose, basically, in a nutshell?
What's driving it?
Okay. Being part of people becoming their best selves. That excites me. I love to watch people grow and I love to develop people. And just recently, even better understanding duplicating myself. So that means a lot to me to watch that process.
Your business is a salon.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And how many people? How many employees, roughly?
I should know exactly, but it's about 27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you use the salon as a place to watch people grow, become part of their best selves?
Primarily through relationship. So it's a lot of people to have relationship with, but that's what matters to me the most. And fortunately, at this stage of my life, that's where I'm able to spend a lot of my time is with my staff. I take people out to coffee. We text regularly.
Right.
So I'm involved, and that makes a big difference.
So what are some of the things you discover about your employees in that process?
Well, just, about their personal lives to a degree, their level of commitment to the business, to the industry, their level of commitment to the business in general, and even watching them interact with one another is amazing, because what develops out of that sort of an environment is trust. And then they develop relationships with each other.
Yeah.
And that's been amazing.
Yeah. So a lot of these employees are younger, right? So if you were your younger self now looking at you now, let me rephrase that. So if you were your younger self, what would you have to say about what you see today?
I'd say, who are you? I don't know this person. My younger self was very fearful of being in any sort of a lead role. I very much was comfortable in a support situation, in a supportive part of a relationship. Even this is funny, in fourth grade, my fourth grade teacher asked if I would be the class president. And I thought long and hard about it, and I declined. I said, I'm sorry, I don't think that I have what this class needs to lead it. So I would like you to ask my friend Tyler to be the president, and I will support him as vice president.
Interesting.
Fourth grade.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
So what were you afraid of being president at fourth grade?
Just that I couldn't bring what was expected and needed. And I didn't want to let anybody down.
Yeah. So how is that different today?
Well, that has been something that's been a process for me to work through, because my young self and my older self, I certainly have matured, but there are things that I have had to wrestle through. And just feeling like I am enough to make a difference and to do all the things that are expected of me and to do them well and right, that I have to work on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, business owner, you wake up in the morning, you roll up your sleeves, and you decide to put it all on the line, right? What's some of the biggest sacrifices you've had to make over the years?
I would have to say, because of the things that I've struggled with, the fears that I've had, the biggest thing has been my comfort, like feeling comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't often feel comfortable.
Why is that important? To feel comfortable?
I think just because it's a relaxed state. It's just a relaxed state of feeling like, everything's going to be okay all the time. That's not reality, and I understand that.
Right.
Not in any situation.
Right.
But when you are leading a very large ship and you have a lot of people that are depending on you, that becomes even more daunting.
So do you get comfortable in the uncomfortableness?
No, I wouldn't say that I do. But yet I long for it because I know what it brings. I see the end result of the sacrifice of my comfort, and that's why I'm there.
Yeah. So what goes through your mind, like when you're stepping into the business on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday, or you're coming back? Like, I know for me, sometimes when I'm coming into the business, I don't know what I'm going to see or expect to feel, even in terms of the vibe of the culture. How does how does that resonate with you?
It affects me. I mean, especially walking in, and everybody's got their own life, their own personal struggles, their own insecurities, their own situations that they're dealing with. And it's on a personal level in their own lives. But when they collectively come together and I walk into that, it depends on how I have prepared myself as to whether or not I take those situations personally, or when I take them personally, when I'm having one of those days, that makes it even more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I can allow that environment to make me feel like, oh, I didn't do something right. I was a disappointment. I need to do better. So those are the days. But again, when I'm at home, my responsibility is to prepare my heart and my mind to go in with a whole different perspective.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So overwhelmed?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Honestly.
When was the last time you felt like really overwhelmed? What was the experience?
There was a lot happening again in people's personal lives, and then it comes out in their behaviors toward each other, changes the atmosphere downstairs. And I was struggling with my own personal things, and just had a lot of concern about business things and decisions. And I had to really work that out. That was very overwhelming.
How did you do that?
Well, I'm a person of prayer. I mean, I just have to take things back to the Lord all the time. And I have to, I choose to. If I don't, I suffer greatly. But when I choose to take things back to the Lord and lay them at his feet, that's when things change. Whenever we turn our worries into prayers, then the peace that passes all understanding guards our hearts and our minds in Christ Jesus. And then that helps me to take a breath and take a pause and just kind of reframe the situation.
Easy to do, huh?
Well, no, it depends on the day.
So what do you do with that? You're in the middle of maybe an event or something that's happening in the salon, or you're feeling that sense of overwhelmness. Do you have a place to go? Do you
I do. Actually, thankfully, for the first time ever, I have an office, which is amazing. So that's where I go. I have to be alone, and if I can't get to my office because sometimes somebody else is in my office doing book work or whatnot, then I go, I'll run into the bathroom and shut the door. Like I just have to separate myself.
So talk about values. What values guide you professionally, and how do you communicate those values or behave those values in your place of business?
I'd have to say my biggest values, Matthew 22:37-39, love God and love people. Those are my values, personally and business.
So how do you do that in business?
Again, it goes back to the relational piece, having relationships, understanding people. And I think that's huge, to know people well enough to understand their behaviors better. People can act a certain way, but if we don't understand what they are going through personally in their own lives, then we may misinterpret their actions, behaviors, words. So understanding each other better and taking time to do that helps me love them in a right way. And sometimes love doesn't mean that it's, the warm, fuzzy love.
Tough love.
It's a tough love. And that is something that I've had to develop over the years because, if I can just sing Kumbaya and hold hands and just hug, that's my idea. It was my fantasy idea of love. If it could always be that way, wow, the world would be a better place. But unfortunately, the tough love, the holding people accountable and, not allowing them to stay where they are. I mean, that's God love. And that's the love that needs to be implemented more times than not, especially with the younger crowd.
Yeah.
That's a whole different situation. And then being in a field with artists, there's a lot of artists that work at the salon.
Right.
So their temperament is not typically one that likes to be reined in.
Yeah.
So giving them, finding a place of giving them a little latitude and a little freedom without too much is a fine line and a balance.
Yeah. So getting ready for the day, right? What are some of the practical, tangible things that you do on a regular basis that help you get ready for your day, help you get ready to step into what you don't know you're stepping into for the day?
I'm not the person that schedules my day ahead. I'm not the person that looks at my calendar and checks things off. I probably should be more that way. I'm so focused on, okay, God, what do we have today? What's today? And how should today go? That's how I function. Practically speaking, though, I mean, exercising is a tremendous part of preparation. It's good for my mental state, good for my emotional state. So exercising and drinking a lot of coffee. Yay.
Yeah.
So that's as practical as I get, honestly. Yeah.
Okay. So, but business owners don't have time to exercise.
Well, you find time for things that matter. And when you prioritize it and you make an appointment to do it, it happens. It's miraculous.
Yeah.
So yes, that's necessary. It's necessary in a lot of ways. Again, mentally, emotionally, physically, it affects everything.
Yeah, it sure does. So is there a significant event in the course of your career that stands out? A time period that was significant? I mean, you've been doing this for 37 years, right?
Yes.
I would imagine there's maybe one or two significant events or time periods in there that stand out.
Oh, there's quite a few, actually. I I have been through working for people. I opened a salon in my own home, 1,700 square foot farmhouse with 2 toddlers and 2 dogs. Worked in that environment, and it served me well when my kids were little. And then went from that into like a 3,500 square foot building where I ended up with 17 employees, and I had never managed before. And that was life-changing. And that was a very significant, difficult time in my life. We stayed open for 3 years max, I believe. And so I lost everything. We had to close. And I swore I'd never do it again.
What happened?
With the business? The best way I could describe it is like a freight train going down a hill with no brakes. It was so successful that it was like water running through my hands. And people were very discouraging when I opened initially because you don't have experience, number one, and there's about 8 salons on the same street. What difference do you think you can make?
Right.
But I just knew, again, it was my purpose. Like I had this whole different perspective of having a business. And it was purpose to make a difference in people. And I loved God, and I had such crazy faith that I said yes, and he made a way. But I didn't realize then it was my school of hard knocks. And looking back in retrospect, I mean, that was 24 years ago. And I learned a lot. And I learned a lot of what not to do. And I also saw the hand of God provide for me and my family during that time like I never would have had I stayed in my comfort zone, in my safe life.
Yeah.
But he proved himself faithful in spite of the difficult circumstance and situation. And what's crazy now is the building that we are currently in is right next door to the building that we lost 23 years ago. And I found my journal from that time, 2004, I think. I don't know. I'm not doing the math to see if it's equaling the correct amount of years, but you get the idea. So I found my journal, and in my journal, I had written right after I told my staff in the old building that we were closing, I said, God, I don't understand. I did this for you. Because, he needs us to do things for him, right?
Sure.
But that was my mindset at that time of my life. I'm going to do this for you, God. And I did this for you, God, and I don't understand why that I just told my staff 2 weeks ago that I was going to buy the building next door someday, and now we're closing. So that really enlightened me moving forward into our current location, because there have been several in between. The process has been incredibly interesting. But to get to this point and to be in the current location where we are now, in the building next door to the building that we lost, is like, I knew then, I mean, I can remember circling scriptures about God restoring what the locusts have eaten. And he did. Like, I was in a 3,500 square foot building then, and now I'm in a 7,000 square foot building. And I mean, you can't make these things up.
No. Okay. So you went through the process of having a business and closing it, and then promising yourself you would never do it again, and you wouldn't do it with family. Mm-hmm. But then you did. Mm-hmm. You opened another business. You have family in the business. Tell me more about the process of that and what was going through your mind.
Healing, first of all, giving myself opportunity to heal and walk through the process. That was important. My kids, I have 2 daughters, and both of which went to Votech for cosmetology. So, they coerced me to a degree. Mm-hmm. I was still very tentative because I told them, ever since that happened in that building next to our current location, I said, I'll never work with family. I'll never own another business, and I'll never have employees. I mean, they were hard lines. So when they finished cosmetology school, they said, Mom, it's time. I said, okay, well, and again, a lot of healing had taken place, and my courage, I started, growing a little bit more in my courage and understanding that loss plays a huge part in future successes.
Yeah.
And I was terrified. I mean, it's much easier. Ignorance is bliss, right? So I knew what I had gone through, and the thought of going through that again was terrifying.
Yeah.
But the thought of making a different, now see, you're going to get me choked up. You didn't even say anything. Whoo, focus. But the thought of making a difference, like having my sphere of influence explode, that meant everything to me.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of courage.
Crazy faith.
Crazy faith. Okay. All right. You mentioned family.
Yeah.
Right? That you never do another business. You never work with family.
Mm-hmm.
You have family in the business today, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been a process.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, I had 2 son-in-laws in the business, both daughters and a nephew. So over the course of time, some of that has changed. But my daughter still works with me.
Any plans for her to take the business?
At this point, she's a hard no.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've been a hard no about a lot of things.
Sure.
And God changes things. So at this point, no. Doesn't mean it won't change.
Yeah. Good. All right. Biggest learning. The biggest learning of your entire professional life. It could be like something I did I would never do again learning, or something that you stepped into that you would encourage others to do.
There's a lot of things that I learned that I wouldn't do again, but they weren't the pivotal things, like the big things. My biggest thing is that I would want to encourage anyone, don't let failure keep you from trying again and trying again and trying again, because it really is a tool in your tool belt.
Mm-hmm.
The things that I learned not to do have been very instrumental in my now. And even in my giving hope to these young kids that come in to the salon, there are so many young people now that struggle with insecurity and anxiety and self-worth and fear. And for me to be able to sit down with them and say, wow, I understand. Like, I walked in your shoes and I lost just about everything at one point in my life. Mm-hmm. But look at where we are now because I said yes again. So that I hope that gives hope to them.
Yeah. Good.
And that's my greatest point of learning in all of it.
That's great. Andrea Smith, thank you for joining us. Roots Hair Salon, and onward and upward, huh?
Here we go. Woo, woo.
Thank you for joining us today for Intentional Conversations. Our hope is that this will inspire you at some level. Something you've heard today that will be a takeaway for you. Maybe you'll share it with a friend or a family member or someone in business. Intentional conversations are exactly that. They're made to be intentional. I hope you have some.